Have you ever wondered if there are any cyclists that you might say are stupid? Yes, there are. How many are there? Probably many. But which things are the most stupid of them? It depends on the event. So, here on Cycling Right Now, we've compiled the top 10 most stupid things in cycling history. Watch the video until the end to know about each of them. Before that, subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet and hit the bell icon to get a notification on all our latest videos. Let's begin. The COVID-19 epidemic was at the center of all that weirdness, bouncing about like a medicine ball on a trampoline. Aside from that though, there were also some strange historical occurrences. Here are the 10 most out-of-the-ordinary cyclists in history, spanning everything from international intrigue to bewildering equipment and devastating accidents to team takeovers. Stupid thing number 10, Rona. Back in February, when the Rona was still a strange and charming sideshow, we dispatched our daring correspondent Dane Cash to the United Arab Emirates for what is widely acknowledged as the year's easiest assignment for a cycling journalist. As a journalist, I can't imagine a better setting. 5-star lodgings, gourmet cuisine, and a large concentration of riders. Next, a coronavirus epidemic ensued. A rider, later identified as Fernando Gaviria, and a member of the support staff were infected. Nobody was allowed to leave their lodgings and everyone was trapped inside. None of the testing or quarantining that took place made any sense. This was the first domino to fall in what would be a season of many. On number 9, leader of the Berdimuhamedov faction, Gurbanguly, Turkmenistan's ruler, Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov, received an unannounced accolade from the UCI back in June. If Berdimuhamedov were less self-promotional, it's possible that it could have been overlooked, but happily, for the integrity of sports, he's not the type of tyrant who would allow that to happen. The UCI, as the sports governing body, found itself under intense scrutiny as cycling tips asked pointed questions like, "Hey, this guy is a chronic human rights abuser. Why did you award him your most prestigious honor?" And the UCI tried its best to avoid answering them. After months of digging, the extent of UCI corruption was exposed, and the shadowy Russian tycoon who had been holding all the cards was brought into the light. All of this worldwide intrigue, bizarreness, and spiciness would not have been revealed if Lapartient, Makarov, and Berdimuhamedov hadn't joined an uncomfortable Zoom session for an online award ceremony. Our stupid thing number 8, Garmin. Picture this, you've just finished a satisfying end-of-the-world bike ride and you go to upload your Garmin data only to discover that your efforts have been lost in cyberspace? Infuriating, right? Nowhere near as frustrating as what Garmin went through during that 1 week in late July when the business fell victim to a ransomware assault. After Russian criminal organization Evil Corp penetrated the GPS giant's networks, it was unable to access them. After what seemed like an interminable period of downtime, Garmin finally restored service. The price? A claimed multi-million-dollar ransom paid in secrecy to the hackers through an intermediary at the risk of triggering penalties from the US Treasury. Okay, but now we may re-upload our bikes. In 2020, several cycling-related companies, not only Garmin, fell prey to hackers. When a similar incident occurred in Canyon at the start of the new year, it too had a horrifying start to the year. Cyclist number 7 is Jacobsen. As if that weren't bad enough, in August, Dylan Groenewegen shut the door on poor Fabio Jacobsen in a fast finale at the Tour of Poland, causing Jacobsen to hit the right side barrier, which was then somehow flung high into the air, where it exploded into multiple pieces and turned a bad crash into a terrifying one. Blame on Groenewegen for shutting the door, much more shame on the race organizer for those dreadful obstacles, quadruple disgrace on the UCI for its nebulous handling of the true source of physical destruction, and shame on the sport for not finding out safe finish lines after more than a century. Stupid thing number 6 is the state of Kansas. The organizers of the event, previously known as the Dirty Kansas, spoke with many parties for a long time before settling on the new moniker. What a lovely name, and since the replacement is so forgettable, we had to look it up in order to create this brief description. Loose gravel, and that's the whole thing. Our team did not forget. Our next stupid action number 5 is Manuela Fundacion. As with many other teams in the sport, the Mitchelton Scott squad had difficult financial times after the COVID-19 epidemic. Mitchelton financing Scott's situation was significantly less clear at the halfway point of the season than it was for CCC, which will quietly collapse at the conclusion of the season, or NTT, which was on again, off again, until ultimately finding a lifeline to carry ahead as Assos Kubeka. Midway through the month of June, the club announced that the new name Manuela Fundación would be used for the remainder of the 2020 season. The new naming rights sponsor is an unnamed Spanish charity that does not have a website. Things weren't what they looked to be, however. Inside a week of the apparent takeover, the rush of contradicting accounts from within and outside the squad painted a far wider image. Jerry Ryan, the team's owner, decided to pull out of the arrangement a week after it was initially announced. While Mitchelton Scott continues to thrive, Manuela Fundación seems to have vanished into thin air. Consequently, the latter has no cycling team to which it can attach its name. Rafa is on number 4th on our today's list. EF Pro Racing's outlandish Giro d'Italia uniforms caused a stir. The gear, which was a product of creative cooperation between Rafa and the London skate company Palace, had everything. A pattern of mottled purple and red polka dots was present. In the dots, there were not one but two men who remained anonymous. There was a large white duck with its wings spread out over the front, its beak and feet forming the word Palace in an accordion-like fashion. It was definitely different, and the naysayers would argue that it wasn't for the better. But if exposure is the yardstick of success, then it accomplished much more than intended. It was gone almost as soon as it hit the shelves, and it seemed certain to join the ranks of cycling cult classics like Carrera Jean, Mapei and Castorama. Extremely strange and well acted throughout. Moving to our number 3rd cyclist, Russell Mockridge. If you've never tried a sport before, how many individuals do you know who have won an Olympic medal in the first go-around? Australian professionals Lionel Cox and Russell Mockridge had never ridden a tandem bicycle until they won the gold medal in the 2,000-meter event in the 1952 Summer Olympics in Helsinki. As anybody who has ridden a tandem bike with a stranger will attest, this requires an extraordinary level of synchronization and communication. After discovering the bike in a storage area of the Olympic Village, the two bikers, who were already racing in separate competitions, presumably thought, hey, why not? Cox also won silver in the sprint scratch event, while Mockridge won gold in the 1,000-meter time trial. Thus, they both ended up with medals in the 1952 Olympics. That said, they were actions they had rehearsed thousands of times before, not something anyone has ever tried as a team before. On number 2, Mr. Jeff Caboche. To further demonstrate that Olympic cycling is as strange and amazing as ever, here is a story from contemporary mythology. Canadian mountain biker Jeff Caboche, a repeat Olympian, finished 20th in the men's cross-country event in the 2008 Games in Beijing. At the award ceremony end, Caboche bumped into Chinese basketball star Yao Ming, and the encounter quickly developed into a new kind of outsized competitiveness. Few would dare challenge a 7-foot, 300-pound athlete to a drinking contest, but Caboche seems content to do just that. Number 1, a negative 25-degree rise originates, present. This one drives me absolutely insane. If you really believe that having your handlebars positioned 10 centimeters lower than your top tube is necessary, then probably people would say that you are riding the incorrect bike. This is undoubtedly the trendiest looking bike setup people have ever seen, and yes, it's a trend because in 3 years, everyone doing this will realize they look like idiots. Their bike handles like crap, and it will come to an end. This trend is the dumbest looking bike setup people have ever seen, let's hope. So, here we're done with this video. Let us know in the comments box what you think about it. Which was your favorite one? Like and share it with your friends as well. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to get a notification on all of our latest uploads. Thanks for watching.